Hey everybody, how is it going? So it is late right now. It's about midnight, but I wanted to talk about some records. Hopefully, I am live and this is working. Let me see if I can confirm before I start into this. I'm not live there. I am live. Okay, cool. Anyway, so let's get into this a little bit. So the other day, I'm downtown. I'm headed back to the house, and my buddy Jason sends a text stating that a one of our local record stores had a haul. And I took a look at it, and once you see what I got, you'll understand why I immediately beelined it to the store. So shout out to Jason. Thanks for him giving me this heads up. I was able to get down there and grab these before they were all gone. Um, I'm going to go in chronological order and how they came out. The first one they had was this one. This is Thirst by Clock DVA. This is a 1981 UK original on Fetish Records. This is, quote, their second album, but they had a bunch of they had released a bunch of music before this, but this is, you know, considered to be their second actual album. I'm not going to take the actual record out, but I actually have 3 copies of this, so I'm probably not going to keep this. It is really clean, but I have 2 other clean copies. So if you're interested, let me know. Next up, now I'm a huge fan of Clock DVA, as I've mentioned on various streams in the past. They're getting ready to come here to America to play for the Cold Waves tour. They're going to be playing 3 dates in Texas, I think some other dates around the country, but it's very cool to be able to see them live. I have a bunch of their albums on CD. I didn't have a ton of vinyl. I have the Sound Mirror 12-inch, which I can look at sitting right over there, and I have a few others. Like I mentioned, I have Thirst, but there's a bunch of these in this collection that I did not have. Next up, Bam Advantage. This is one of the ones that I have on CD. This is, quote, their third album. This is a 1989 reissue on Interfish. The original version of this was released in 1983. This is the German pressing on Interfish. Advantage. Next up, keeping with this theme, Bam Buried Dreams Clock DVA. This is the 1989 original press on Interfish. The year after this, it got pressed on Wax Trax. Wax Trax did a release for it. This is probably their most popular album. It's difficult to find in really good condition. This one is a little beat up. You can kind of see some edge wear. This one right up here. The record itself did have some markings on it, but I've already played it a couple times and it's plays fine, plays beautifully. So Clock DVA Buried Dreams. This is one of the ones I have on CD. I actually have 2 copies on CD. Very happy to have this on vinyl. Next up, bam, that's right, more Clock DVA. This is Transitional Voices. This came out the year after Buried Dreams in 1990. This is the German press on Interfish. This is a live album that was recorded on their tour after Buried Dreams was released. I hadn't actually never seen this before. It's my first time actually holding one. I saw some things people were saying online about how the band wasn't too happy that this was released. But it sounds great. I've already listened to it. Once again, bam, more Clock DVA. I was very happy that Jason gave me the heads up because I love Clock DVA, and these are a lot of records that I did not have. A lot of these records, if you live in Europe, you'll know that they're I wouldn't say they're still rare, but they're easier to find over in Europe. You never see these in America. And in fact, according to what the record store told me, it was a German guy that sold these to them, which makes sense because there are a lot of German presses. Anyway, this album is called Digital Soundtracks. This came out in 1992. This is on Contempo. This is an Italian label. This is the label that released a lot of their later stuff. This came out the same year that Man Amplified came out. This was kind of in their peak era. This is the only vinyl press of this record is on Contempo. You can kind of see the label there. This is a great album, and this is super clean, I mean, every copy that I got, with the exception of the Buried Dreams, is actually really clean. Next up is Sign. This is a 1993 original on Contempo. Again, this one hasn't ever had a reissue. This is the only pressing on vinyl that there is. You can kind of see the label there. This is getting to be a little bit of a later era, but still peak Clock DVA. Another one that I had on CD but did not have on vinyl. Now we're getting into some non-Clock DVA stuff. First up, I was very happy to see this Deform Photograms. This is 1989 original press. In fact, I'm not even sure if it's gotten a reissue. Maybe. But there were two different versions of this that got pressed. There was this one, and then a, quote, deluxe one that had a 7-inch included with it. This is just the standard one without the 7-inch. I love Deform. I'd love to have all of their records. At some point, I will, but the fact that I found this in a record store in America is freaking amazing. It's super clean, I mean, and it's on Normal. That's their label. Anyway, great album. Next up, Frontline Assembly, Millennium. This is an OG. This is the only vinyl pressing, except for the reissue they did last year. It came out in 1994, original pressing. It's a European pressing on Roadrunner. The only before the reissue, the Artifact did last year. This is the album that came out after Tactical Neural Implant. This is kind of, they started changing their sound a little bit. You know, this one came out. This Millennium came out, and then Hardwired. Very cool. The person that sold these records to the store, they had a Tactical Neural Implant. I can only assume it was an original, but that one was picked up before I got there. Someone nabbed that one up, unfortunately. I do have an OG, though, so I didn't really need it, but I probably would have bought it anyway. Anyway, Millennium, Frontline Assembly. You can see the label there. This one is really cool. They had a whole bunch of Depeche Mode originals. This one is an original German press from 1990. This has been bootlegged a few times. The German press, specifically, I looked online, but all signs point to this being an original. There's no signs that this was a bootleg. It's very cool. I don't really have a lot of original pressings from Depeche Mode. In the same collection they had a Black Celebration, or no, they didn't have a Black Celebration. I would have bought one if they did. They had what did they have? They had a Broken Frame. They had a SoFad. They had a couple of others. I would love to find a Black Celebration original and a Music for the Masses. Anyway. And the last one, I'm going to show maybe the one I was the most excited about. I don't know. I'm really excited about the Clock DVA, the Deform. But this one, when I saw this, Bloodline Recoil, this is an OG. This one hasn't been reissued. But initially, when it was released in 1992, there were pressings from various countries, you know, UK, Germany, etc. This is a Spanish pressing, which is kind of cool. You don't really see Spanish pressings outside of Spain, you know, like if you're looking on Discogs. you know, you don't really see them. I have a few Spanish pressings because I've been to Spain and bought them, but Recoil Bloodline, I have all the singles off this album, the 12 inches. I'm very happy to finally have the album. I really wish they would reissue this. I don't know why they won't. Very strange. Anyway, those are the records that I picked up. That's the haul. I got them from Breakaway Records here in Austin, Texas. I love this record store. Not only did I get all those from that collection, they were extremely fairly priced. I mean, these are records that go for a lot of money online. They were insanely well priced, especially for in America, because usually you pay a premium when you're getting them in America. But they were basically like at European prices or even better, but in America, which is kind of unheard of. My Jason got a few records from that same collection. You know, he can talk about it if he wants. They had some Massive Attack. They had some Brian Eno. They had some Felt. But I have my hands full just having these. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of make this a short record. If you're or a short video. If you like these records, if you like to talk about them a little bit, I thought about talking about more about them, but kind of keep the video short. Hope you're all having a good one.